Good evening, Steelers Nation. Welcome back to the Steel Curtain Call, a show here on YouTube dedicated 100% to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am your host. My name is Patrick. Thank you guys very much for giving us a view this evening. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome, and I hope you'll be a good little viewer and hit that subscribe button. Today on the Steel Curtain Call, we want to talk about a man named Bud Dupree. Now, Bud Dupree has been on our minds for a good bit of time now as a fan base, and he's going to be on our minds this offseason because the Steelers have a little decision to make on him, talking about his fifth-year option. The question that we want to answer today is, should the Steelers pick up Bud Dupree's fifth-year option? Now, those of you that may be wondering what in the world is the fifth-year option and how does it work, I will explain. Basically, here's how it works. When you have a first-round draft pick that is coming into their fifth year of playing professional football, teams have the option to keep them under contract going into that fifth year. Now, Bud Dupree's fifth year of playing football will be 2019, not 2018. That's something very important to keep in mind. But here's the thing. The decision to exercise the fifth year option must be made 1 year prior to their fifth year. Now, here's pretty much what this means. Bud Dupree is going to be in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform in 2018, regardless of what the Steelers decide to do. Even if they pick up the option or if they don't pick up the option, he's going to be playing for the Steelers in 2018. Here is the catch, though. If the Steelers decide to pick up Bud Dupree's fifth-year option this offseason, that means he is under contract for the 2019 season. But if the Steelers do not decide to pick up Bud Dupree's fifth-year option this offseason, that means he becomes an unrestricted free agent as soon as this season is over. Now, but before we completely shut the door to all that, because all of what I just said is true, but there's also a lot of stipulations. There are some loopholes, there are some ifs, ands, or buts, and I want to explain those now. The first thing let's talk about is guaranteed money, because I know some of you may be thinking, wait, hold on. You're saying that if they pick up his fifth-year option, then 2019, his contract is fully guaranteed? No. That would not be fair at all. And also, guys, come on, you know better than that. This is the National Football League we're talking about. They're stingy about guaranteed money. Come on now. He would be scheduled to be under contract until 2019. So what is actually guaranteed when you pick up the fifth-year option? The only money that is fully guaranteed if you pick up someone's fifth-year option before they enter the fifth year is for injuries. Basically, here's how that works. If the Steelers pick up Bud Dupree's fifth-year option this offseason, and he has some sort of horrible catastrophic injury in 2018 that prohibits him from being able to play in 2019, then injury money kicks in. That is exactly what is happening with Ryan Shazier right now, guys. You remember the Steelers picked up Ryan Shazier's fifth-year option back in 2017. 2018 comes, and I think we all remember what happened to him back in December. He has the horrible spinal injury. And that injury is most likely, well, I would say almost definitely going to keep him out for the 2018 season. So that is injury guarantees kicking in. So I just kind of wanted to get that cleared up, because there's some people who think that if you pick up a guy's fifth-year option, that means that next year he's already under contract, all that money is guaranteed. That is technically not true. Now, it's also worth noting that just because you pick up a guy's fifth-year option before the fifth year, that does not mean that you can't get out from under it when the year comes. Technically, unless, a catastrophic injury occurs like Ryan Shazier, of course, you can put the fifth-year option on a player, and then before the start of the new league year, you can get out from under it. Now, if a team chooses not to get out from under it before the start of the new league year, then the money becomes fully guaranteed. But yes, that has been done before. Teams have slapped the fifth-year option on a player, and then they have been able to get out from under it. That is very possible. But anyway, we're kind of getting on a rabbit path now. In a nutshell, guys, here's basically what the fifth-year option is. Teams are revealing their confidence in a player. If a team decides to pick up a guy's fifth-year option, here's what they're saying. We like you. We have confidence in you. If a team decides to not pick up a guy's fifth-year option, then they're pretty much saying, yeah, we're not feeling it. So this is really the entire point of this episode. We want to talk about Bud Dupree. Is he a big fat draft bust, or should we be a little more patient with him? There is no denying that Bud Dupree has been a very big letdown ever since we drafted him. We drafted him back in the first round of the 2015 draft, and in 3 years, he has only 14 and a half sacks. Now, look, let's not be completely dishonest. 14 and a half is not the worst number in the free world, but, for a guy that you draft in the first round, you'd like those numbers to be a lot higher. Dupree's rookie season, he had 4 sacks, which, look, for a rookie, those aren't horrible numbers, but again, first-round talent, you want those numbers to be higher. I mean, you got to keep in mind, TJ Watt just got done with his rookie season, and he had a total of 7 sacks. Not to mention, Dupree also had some injury concerns in his first year as well. Then cue 2016. Now, 2016 was a very conflicting year for Bud Dupree. And it was conflicting because it was the type of season where you could justify wanting to get rid of him, but it was also the type of season where you could also justify wanting to keep him as well. Once again, for the second year in a row, Dupree had injury concerns. He missed the entire first half of the season due to a groin injury. And that was very, very, very frustrating. That kind of foiled our plans last year. But when Dupree did get on the field, when he finally got on the field in the second half of 2016, he was an absolute monster. Dupree had 4.5 sacks in the second half of the year. He actually led the NFL in sacks the second half of 2016, guys. So, while missing the first half of the season was very disappointing, it was absolutely incredible to watch that guy play in the second half of the year. And what he did in the second half of 2016 was the reason why there was so much hype around him coming into the 2017 season. Myself included, ESPN analyst, NFL analyst. I remember I think ESPN analyst actually said he could be the next Von Miller. And I kind of was on board that train as well. I mean, I thought, okay, if he had 4.5 sacks in the second half of a season, what in the world would he do with an entire season? And we all just felt like that Bud Dupree was going to be the next great linebacker in the National Football League. Some people were pegging him as potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Well, that did not happen in 2017. Yet another disappointing season. Dupree injures his shoulder in the offseason, and he misses every bit of training camp, every bit of the preseason, and really was questionable coming into the beginning of the regular season. He finishes with only 6 sacks. And he pretty much played the entire season with that lingering shoulder injury. In fact, I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the month of October, Dupree had an interview in the locker room with Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy Fowler covers the Steelers for ESPN, and Dupree told Fowler that he was not able to move his shoulder without taking painkillers and injections. So that puts into perspective the kind of pain that he was playing through all season long. And like I said, he finishes the year with only 6 sacks. Now, here's the thing about that, though. 6 sacks is not a bad number at all, but when you actually watch Dupree, they weren't impressive sacks at all. It was not a matter of him beating the guy in front of him and powering his way to the quarterback. They usually were coverage sacks or a matter of the quarterback holding on to the ball for way too long. So that brings us to 2018. What in the world do we do with Bud Dupree? Should we go ahead and start getting plan B together and start the process of moving on from him, or should we be a little more patient? Like you guys, I am very, very disappointed with Bud Dupree so far. Like I said, we drafted this guy in the first round of a draft. He is supposed to be the next great Steelers outside linebacker, and we're still waiting on it. But I've decided that I'm not ready to give up on Bud Dupree just yet. I'm impatient right now, but I'm not quite ready to give up on him, and here's why. Dupree has been very, very disappointing, but guys, think about something just for a second. Have we really had a real opportunity to see who Bud Dupree really is? I mean, think about it, guys. The guy has had some kind of injury every single year so far, and I know that some people would say, well, Patrick, that's a clear argument to get rid of him, and I hear that, but the other part of me says, yeah, but what if this guy actually was healthy for just one season? Again, I'm not 100% convinced that we can form a full opinion on Bud Dupree because he's been injured for so long. And the other thing is, look, do we want Dupree's numbers to be higher? Yes, he's played 3 years in this league and he only has 14.5 sacks. For a Pittsburgh Steeler outside linebacker, those need to be a lot higher. But I do want to put that 14.5 in perspective just for a second. Do you remember that guy named Jarvis Jones? If you've already forgotten about him, it's okay, I'll forgive you. We drafted Jarvis Jones back in the 2013 NFL draft. You remember Jarvis Jones? He was that guy out of Georgia, and he was the next great Pittsburgh Steelers outside linebacker, baby. Oh, he was going to be the replacement to James Harrison, and he was the future. Jarvis Jones played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 4 years. 4 years, guys. Do you know how many sacks Jarvis Jones had in 4 years for the Steelers? 6. Six sacks in 4 years. Bud Dupree has 14 and a half in 3 years. Again, just like everybody else out there, I want Dupree's numbers to be a lot higher. But if you're going to label Bud Dupree as a draft bust, what in the world do we call Jarvis Jones? The way I feel about Bud Dupree is let's let 2018 be the put up or shut up season. Again, I'm very impatient and I don't have much more in the tank for this guy, but I'm willing to give him just one more season. Dupree is ridiculously athletic. He has got a lot of raw strength. He's also been very effective stepping out and covering when he has to. There is a lot to like about Bud Dupree. There is a ton of potential for this guy, but it is time for Bud Dupree to get healthy, get right, and stay on the football field for an entire season without any injuries whatsoever. This is Bud Dupree's final year to prove something. So for these reasons, I do believe the Steelers need to pick up Bud Dupree's fifth-year option. And like I said at the beginning of the show, guys, you can get out of it. Just because you pick up the option doesn't mean that you're screwed at that point. You still have a way of getting out from under it. Remember, his money in 2019 is not fully guaranteed. The only thing that is guaranteed is some sort of catastrophic Ryan Shazier type of injury that would prohibit him from playing in 2019. So I don't think it's a giant risk to pick up the option. But that is my take on Bud Dupree. I want to hear from you guys. How do you feel about Bud Dupree? Are you sick and tired of him? Nope, don't want to give him another chance. I've had it, move on. Or are you like me? Let's give this guy just one more season to show us something. Comment below. I want to talk to you. Okay, guys, now what I want to do is reveal my plans for the 2018 NFL Draft. NFL Draft coverage starts officially next week here on the Steel Curtain Call, and here's how it's going to go. We are starting a series of shows that will lead up to the start of the 2018 NFL Draft, and I am entitling it the 2018 NFL Draft Series. Yeah, I got really original with the name. Yep. Basically, here's how it's going to work. Each and every week, I will reveal a big position of need for the Steelers coming up in the draft. And based on the position of need, I will reveal my favorite players at that particular position. Basically tell you guys, who I would like the Steelers to pick at those positions, that type of thing. It should be very fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I really have spent the last 3 weeks just doing nothing but watching film on some of these draft prospects, so I'm very excited to share my thoughts on those guys. Like I said, it starts next week. Tune in. You will not want to miss it. And obviously, we'll be monitoring free agency very closely. Not talking bad about anybody, but I do kind of have to laugh, reading all these other Steeler sites and these profiles on Twitter and all the other social media talking about, ooh, the Steelers need to get this guy and this guy and this guy, and he's available in free agency. And I'm just sitting there like, yes, with what cap space will you sign these players? I mean, again, guys, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We're already in the negative technically with our cap space, and here we are trying to sign a running back to possibly a $15 million contract. Please tell me the cap space you plan to use. And it's very unfortunate because there are a good bit of free agents out there. You've got Trey Boston at safety, you've got TJ Ward at safety, you've got Avery Williamson, an inside linebacker, and there's a lot more. But once again, guys, based on the cap space, based on the Le'Veon Bell situation, we appear to be pretty intent on signing this guy or at least franchise tagging him. I don't know what cap space you're using. But nevertheless, if something magical happens and we do sign a free agent, we will cover those things. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. We are at SCurtainCall33. Remember to follow your boy at P_Garrison on Twitter. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button, guys. And that's going to wrap it up for us this evening. Remember to tune in next week for our NFL Draft coverage. But until then, guys, have a great day. I almost said Happy Christmas. I don't know why I almost said Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas.